Hey guys! Okay, so I know this is like really weird. You're probably like, why is she on video? But there's a lot that I've been wanting to do. Vlogging is one of them, but I just haven't yet because of, lack of ideas and just being on the other side of the camera, to be honest, is a little weird. But there's been a lot going on lately, and there's been a major change in our lives, and I thought, what better way to get this thing going and tell everybody than with a video. Before I go on, I know that a lot of you watching this, and majority of you are my Facebook friends. I know that a lot of you aren't Christian per se, and many of you don't claim to have any sort of faith or whatever, which is totally fine, is totally respectable, and we can all have differences and still be friends, right? Right. Okay, so now that we're past that, I'll just get to the meat of this whole thing. So our son Tucker was just diagnosed with autism and ADHD. So a lot of you, especially if you know Tucker, you're probably like, what? Okay, that was our initial reaction too when autism first came up, because we're like, there's so many things that he can do, but we just didn't think that, like, no, that's not my son, because we just weren't educated about it. But, after we started educating ourselves and researching and all this, some pieces really started coming together. And I won't go into detail right now about his diagnosis, signs, symptoms, all that good stuff. That's actually going to be in my next video. So if you're really interested, then I would suggest watching that when I upload it very soon. But this is just going to be more about my initial feelings about the whole situation and how I reacted and my faith. So just keep watching. Before we went to the actual psychologist, I had a pretty good heads up of what to expect because I had already been doing a ton of research. And then when we finally went to the first appointment, the doctor, he actually mentioned the word autism. And at first I felt this huge relief to know that, okay, I'm not just, overanalyzing this thing. And, I tend to be an overanalyzer, an overthinker. I just overdo things in general. So, it made me feel like, okay, a professional is really considering this as well. Like, it's not just all in my head. So afterwards, we left. We made another appointment for some official testing. And in between then, I had a few weeks to try to process what it meant if my child really was autistic. And surprisingly, I held it together at first until I realized that there was one thing that bothered me. And that was, what if he gets his feelings hurt for being different? And I think every mom worries about that, I know, like most moms, like when you think of someone hurting your baby, that ferocious mama bear comes out immediately. And, I just broke down at that point. Then I started questioning myself and different things. And, I didn't care that he was different. But, guys, this world is so cruel. And it's already hard enough to worry about your child anyway. But then I start, I ask questions like, what now? What happens when he becomes an adult? Did I do something to cause this? Or, am I really a good enough mom for this job? What if I can't give him what he needs? It was just a flood of emotions, literally. And, after feeling completely upside down emotionally, I realized how much I really, really need God. And some of you that went to school with me know that towards the end of high school, I completely turned around. I was very involved in my church at the time. I even quit cheerleading so that I could be more involved. And, I felt really connected with God. And then after high school, not even going to go there, but you guys know that I strayed very far off the path. And when I moved to Georgia, I really turned things around. It was a process, but mainly after I met my husband and had Tucker, that's, really when I started going to church again. So there have been many things that I've just fought God about, and it's almost like I'll just let him in. You can come in here, but not here. Or you can come in this much, but then that's enough. I just kind of shut him out. Well, let me tell you, there's nothing like worrying about your child and their well-being just to really open your eyes. It really made me realize how much I need God, and not just sometimes, but all the time. So after the appointment, I was sitting in church that Sunday, and the message was based on Philippians 4, verse 6 and 7, and a lot of you probably know it. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And I was like, wow, okay, this is so appropriate right now. But I kept on reading in Philippians 4, and I came across to verses 11 through 13, which says, "I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength." And I knew at that moment that was for me, that this was something that I needed to live by, all the time, but especially now. And I needed to learn to be content in all situations, and that he would give me strength. Now, since then, I've been just diving into the Word, and I just want to share some scriptures that have been comforting to me. And even if you don't have a child with special needs, or you don't have children at all, you're still a child of God, and I think that everyone can find comfort in these. So the first one is Jeremiah 29:11, and it was very famous. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." I take comfort in knowing that God has already has a special plan for Tucker, and that I don't have to worry about his future. When you have kids, you have these ideas in your head about, you kind of foresee them in the future, like, oh, I bet this, you see like prom, and you see, them going to college, and you have these ideas about what they're going to be like in school, and, and then in a situation like this where all that is just flipped upside down, it is so important to remember Jeremiah 29:11, that we don't have to worry about the future because it's already been planned for us. So the next one is Psalm 139, verses 13 through 16, and it says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." I take comfort in the fact that God knit Tucker together in my womb, and he is fearfully and wonderfully made. And he already knew Tucker and the plan for his life since the beginning of time. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the beginning of time was a long time ago. So, again, I'm just so comforted knowing that his plan's already been written. The next verse is John 9, verses 2 and 3, and it says, His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. And in this verse, I take comfort in knowing that there's nothing me, my husband, or anyone did wrong. You know, Tucker is perfect and was made this way for a specific purpose, and God is going to use him in such a way. And I don't have to know what or when or how, but I just know that God will glorify himself in Tucker. The next verse is 2 Corinthians 12 and 9. But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. For I will all the more gladly boast about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest in me. And in this situation, I take comfort knowing that no matter what weaknesses come about, that God's power is made perfect in weakness, and that Tucker will be able to boast about his weaknesses and God will shine through. And the last verse is Deuteronomy 31:6, and it says, Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And I'm very comforted by this, knowing that, excuse me, no matter what hardships come and no matter what challenges we face individually or as a family, that God is never going to leave us or forsake us. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you were enlightened and encouraged today, and I look forward to making more videos about our awesome journey. Like I said, my next video will be a detailed video about, you know, signs and symptoms that we overlooked and how the whole thing came about. So I look forward to speaking with you next time. Thanks. Say bye-bye, Anakin. My goodness. And also, I hope you enjoyed this beautiful scenery brought to you by Mikasa. Just kidding. Next video, I will definitely have my Canon, and you know, the quality, the background, everything will be so much different. So thanks for bearing with me on this one.